Another thing that I see brands tend to ignore is communicating their value in the way that their customers need to hear it. And it's almost like this idea of love languages, right? We all know love languages. If you're a service-based, like if you're what am I trying to think of? If you do acts of service, right?
Mhm.
But the other person needs physical touch or quality time, you're going to be sharing all this love, but they may not feel it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Going in. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. We are here back live for another episode of Adventures in Business Live. All the hands, Mandy, how we doing? How we doing?
Hi, I'm waving. I'm trying to like improve. I know I'm jazz hands, but I'm just trying to, I'm working on my waves these days.
All right. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Good
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Thank you.
What we have a big week coming up next week, Mandy. We got a lot going on. So tell us,
hmm
for all of us, all three of us, including our guest this week, what's going on next week?
Well, Amani, I'm very excited because IMAX is coming up next week. And so for the people listening and watching that aren't in the meetings and conference business, IMAX is a huge international trade show in Las Vegas where 100,000 of our best friends from across the world come to show us their wares, show us what's new in hotels and destinations, share best practices. But I don't know about you, I always learn so much from our industry partners while I'm there. So, like, for example, our friends at Showtech,
Mhm.
right? They did this great LinkedIn post recently and they said, not every client wants a ballroom.
Mm,
And then they went and they shared like this amazing build and production that they did at Pier 36 in New York City. And it was a trade show, general session, and breakout session rooms, like all on the same floor.
ooh,
But
nice.
what I appreciated about it is they showed it empty. They
Yeah.
showed trucks loading in. They
Uh-huh.
showed it like, the behind the scenes and then the finished product. We always see the finished product, but we don't always get to see the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think about as I saw that with Showtech, I was thinking about IMEX next week, how like I always get so many ideas just walking that trade show floor or
Mhm.
going to a session. So as much as it's about building relationships, like for me, I'm also like, ooh, like look at the way they're selling themselves or marketing themselves, or look at their way they're engaging in that trade show booth, and they're not doing like stale french fries and like gross wine, like they're doing
Mhm.
like different ways to like bring people into the booth. So I'm very excited about IMAX. Showtech, Showtech's a production company out of San Diego, but they do shows all over the world, obviously in New York at least, but like they do things all over the world. And that just seeing their posts, knowing IMAX is next week, I just got all bubbled up. I got real excited
Yes.
for it next week.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like we need to work on trying to get Showtech here as a guest. What do you think about that?
Ooh, good idea.
I
Good
think that
idea. No,
yes.
that's smart.
Yes.
And you know what? We should do it after IMAX because they've been in business like 34 years and their CEO is so creative and so interesting. I bet he'll probably have some best practices he can share with
Yes. And
me.
you
So
know me yes, yes. And you know me and creativity get along real well.
I
So that could be
know.
a double bonus. Now, as we continue talking about IMAX,
Yeah.
what days are you speaking at IMAX?
I speak Monday at 9:30 in the morning. I'm talking about building your best business bedside manner at Smart Monday. So come see me, come heckle me,
Yes.
or just be a familiar face. And then Wednesday, I'm speaking at a private part of the event at the Future Leaders Summit with our guest. We'll talk to her a little bit about that too. And
Yes.
that's Wednesday. What about you? When are you speaking?
So I am DJing the Site Mountain West opening party on Monday
Nice.
evening. So that's 6 to 8. And then I'm speaking in University Village at 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday about the written word. So those are my two
Ooh.
opportunities. Yes.
What's the written? Tell me about that's 1:30 Wednesday, right?
Yes.
I have
1:30
that in my
p.m.
calendar. I'm gonna come
Yes.
heckle you for that. Yeah.
Okay. Come heckle me. Yes.
I'll come. I'll know. I'll be nice. What is when you say you're speaking about the written world word? Like what can we expect? What's going to be out there?
I'm just going to talk to people about writing and how writing can translate to if you're writing your social media post, if you're writing an article for a publication, or you're writing a book. Just kind of give some tips and some guidance for that and try to encourage more people to write because we need more writers within our industry.
Ooh, Amani, I like that. Everybody wants to write a book, but sometimes they just need to hear one person say they
Yeah.
can do it. So you never know
Yeah.
who you'll inspire
I
next week.
can be
That's really
that
cool.
person. Yes.
Cool.
So, speaking of inspiring and people, we have a guest today whom I met through Black NSA, our mastermind group. And then we've gotten to be fast friends and talked a bunch. She came to WEC last year in Louisville and experienced all of our people and fell in love with them and us. And now she's going to be here today and talk to us about all things like marketing, messaging, speaking. And she's also speaking at IMEX as well. And just won an award with, I think it's Smart Women. I want to say Smart Meetings. So I need to get the details on that. But let's do this. Let's bring, hold on, let me get my little things here. Let's bring Christy Renee Stehle to the stage. And round of applause here.
Woo, Christy, nice to meet you.
Yes, yes.
Oh, good wave.
Working on my wave. Working on my wave.
There you go.
That's a good
There you
wave.
go. And I said everything correctly, right? I pronounced everything properly.
You did. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. We're excited to have you here. It's been a long time coming. I understand that. We're happy. Yes. So
Longtime fan of the show.
yes, thank
Aw,
you.
thank
We
you,
love hearing with a
Christy.
long time listener, first time caller. That's what they used to say back in the day. In
I
30
am.
seconds or less, how would you describe who is Christy Renee?
Oh gosh, great question. Who am I? So I think that the first thing that comes to me is that I'm a storyteller at heart. And this is really important because I went through a phase of life where I was always introducing myself by the title that I had or what I did for work. And as I've gone through this process of developing my identity and showing up with more authenticity in life, I think it's important to start with who we are on the inside. And that's a storyteller through and through. Professionally, I help brands tell their story, help organizations prevent the hidden costs of miscommunication that costs them money and their best people, and they often don't even know that they're doing it.
Hmm.
And I could talk for another hour and a half on all of the things of me, but you asked 30 seconds and
Well
that's a
done.
tough one.
Well, let's give you an additional few moments. Like, what's your story? Like, how did you get to be who you are and get to where you are today?
You know, I say that I've lived about 5 lives by this point, and really the turning point for me started through pain and disruption. I graduated into with an architecture and design degree into the Great Recession. If we remember that back in the day, that was the worst time to graduate. And, you know, I look at my life now and I understand that the education that I've gotten wasn't in architecture and design or even branding or even public speaking. It was the disruption of getting into each of those industries right as they began to blow up. So, you know, who I am, how I got to be here really is through a lot of adversity, through a lot of courage, through a lot of overcoming maybe some health challenges when I was in my 20s and realizing what is actually important in life is our people, our experiences. I sold everything I owned. I traveled for 5 years, really just faced fear after fear after fear. A lot of that included public expression and speaking, and even being here with you today would have once been just the worst thing in the world. So really a lot of growth and a lot of just living life.
All right, Mandy, what you got? What you got?
Oh, that's beautiful. I feel like you and I could sidebar and have conversations about living and learning so much. I do think some of our best growth comes from some of our worst pain, though, you know, and it's always a beautiful bloom on the other side, but hanging in it for a little bit can be difficult. Um, Switching gears though, I love the word magnetic. And the word magnetic is woven through the descriptions of you as a human and your business. So I'm curious, what do you think makes a person, a brand, or a business magnetic?
Well, I'll answer with like the brand business application first. I think a lot of times we throw around the word magnetism or magnetic and we think, oh, it's charisma. And for a brand to be magnetic, it's so much more than that. And it comes down to here's my little geek out science moment right here. You guys ready? Are you ready?
Ready.
Everything in the universe has mass. Everything that is not magnetic has electrons that spin in opposite directions. For a magnet to be magnetic, the electrons spin, they align, and they spin in the same direction. So for a brand to be magnetic, it is truly when a brand does on the outside what they say that, or what they are on the inside is how they say they are on the outside. And this sounds maybe obvious, but it's very common for brands to wistfully share what they wish would be true or share what was true at the start of the organization, but maybe those core values have gotten further and further away from. And the messaging that you create is just flat because it's not ringing in this true integrity of how they operate. So for a brand to be magnetic, they do as they say they do. They take care of their people, they take care of their customers, and it's very, very easy to market them because they have a strong purpose and a strong mission.
Mm. That's funny that you said that. That reminds me of Trader Joe's. I do a lot of business with Trader Joe's, so I've had like a real inside look at their company
Mm.
culture. And anytime somebody asks me what it's like working with Trader Joe's, I'm like, it's exactly what you would think it is. Like, they are fair, they're good, they don't believe in bullying or pounding fists on the table. Like, they're unique and innovative. They're exactly what you think they would, and it's rare that a brand can do that. Can you think of a brand that you know of that does do that, or brands that are guilty of not doing that? And if you don't want to say names
Yeah.
to protect the innocent, that's fine. But I'm sure you could probably think of a couple.
Yeah, well, I can definitely think of a lot of brands who aren't doing it, and I don't know that I would put them on blast like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you bring up Trader Joe's. I do drive across town to purposely shop there, and one of the reasons is because it's an uplifting experience because you can tell they take care of their employees and their employees pass that joy along, right? And that's
Yeah.
so, you know, the studies show that we're derailing a little bit here, but studies show that the number one determiner of a long life is not diet and it is not exercise. It's actually social connection, and social connection in the sense of cashiers you speak to, bank tellers, just that community sense. So I love Trader Joe's. I love that you get to work with them. One of my favorite that I worked with, and this is how you can get promotions without ever even knowing it. I worked on a company, Saya LTL Freight. It's a freight company, transportation and logistics. Everybody's like, Christy, this is so boring. Why do you love them? Because they take care of their people. They do what they say they're going to do. They have employees that have been there for 50 years as the regular. Like, that's amazing, in
Yeah.
a world where everything is turning, if they stay there that long, they're valued, they're taken care of, they're respected. So I always love using them as an example. They have no idea that for the last 5 years, their director of copy has been walking around telling people on different podcasts that they do a great job or
Mm.
mentioning them in brand presentations. And it is an example of that magneticism in the brand because they have people like me championing their brand to people they would never expect. And here we are talking about Trader Joe's and freight companies. And it's because it's such an opportunity. Yeah, the market's hard. Yeah, invisibility or brand invisibility is such a thing today. But if you do a good job, you're going to rise to the top. It's all
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Mm.
I I appreciate this look at, we're talking about, I think sometimes when we talk about branding, we think about the external customer buying from the brand. But what we forget about is, like, when you have a solid brand, you have recruitment opportunities, you have retention opportunities, and you have a solid company base of employees. I think I like how we're looking at it inward first before we're looking at it
Mm.
outward. As an entrepreneur, and I know Amani is one too, and you are one too, what can entrepreneurs do to make their individual brands more magnetic?
Yeah, great question. Well, entrepreneurship is the best personal development journey on the planet, right?
Sure, it's
So
talk
I
about
think
growing pains. Yeah.
have you ever experienced the moment? And I think that this applies to coaches for sure, but it applies to all of us that are thought leaders with a message. It absolutely showed up for me when I was really becoming a leader in communication. It's like, have you ever experienced saying your message and then you get hit on the back end behind the scenes with this like, oh, I need my own message and I'm kind of going through it again. And it's like this onion layer that's been peeled back. We're going through our message again. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I think that that is the alignment forcing us into it. It's either, "Oh, I'm such an imposter and I can't go after this and I'm gonna quit," or it's like, "This is an opportunity for me to live my message even better than I did before," and I think that that's that alignment, right? When I started helping people with communication, I'm like, "I'm such a great communicator, everybody comes to me." On the back end, behind the scenes, I was getting a lesson in how to communicate my emotions. Oh, I hate communicating my emotions, but I was being asked to live in alignment, and I think we rise to the challenge more often than we don't, and we, just kinda deal with the punches. So maybe it's easier in that sense because it just happens naturally.
Yeah. Well, I think living your life out loud is a good brand standard for any entrepreneur too.
Mhm.
Just keeping it
Mhm.
real.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what makes up a great storyteller? What characteristics make up a great storyteller?
Great question. Well, the obvious is people who can keep others on the edge of their seat, right? That is the most obvious. I think that is the definition of it of, you're talking and you're talking and you're talking and maybe you stop or you pause and they're like, "Keep going. What's
Mm.
next?" So how do you do that? I think an important part is setting something I call setting the stage. And really what that means is just pulling the person into the moment that you're about to describe. Engaging the senses. What did you see, smell, hear, think internally? And I think one of the easiest switches to be a better storyteller is to resist the urge to tell what happened in past tense and lean into present tense, meaning talking about what happened then as if it's happening right now. And I think that that is one of the easiest switches people can make to be more engaging.
Interesting. Never heard of it like that. Okay, so that's and then what do you feel like are the most important elements to always have in any story that you tell?
Oh, well, you always have to have tension. You always have to have something that you've overcome, and that's, again, what makes entrepreneurs such a great example of being able to be a magnetic brand is that we're constantly going through trials and tribulations, and I think a lot of leaders want to shy away from that and think like, "Oh, well, I need to be, perfect, and I need to not show my vulnerabilities or that I've gone through something." It's like, "No, we wanna follow leaders who have gone through adversity, who have dealt with, you know, all the trials and tribulations and they've risen above. It's something that we can relate to. It's something we can cheer on. So always having that, and I think also having this, I don't know maybe how to describe it, but this, right? The ups and the
Mhm,
downs, and you
mhm.
want to take them on twists and turns. One of my favorite things in literature or even in cinema is when they time hop. So, we're
Mm.
not following a linear time. We're back, we're forward. We don't know when it's going to come. And then it comes together, often with, let's say, like an Easter egg, something that
Mm.
was mentioned at the start is now back here. And I think speakers, writers in a book, I know we've got a major book leader here, USA Today
Thank you.
bestseller. Um, so I think having that golden Easter egg too that you come back to is like, "Ooh, it's really woven. There's a golden thread
Yeah.
that I can follow," and I think that that ties it together nicely.
I love a good Easter egg. I love a good Easter egg. When you're thinking back to your career or life, what would be that one moment for you that served as kind of your main moment of tension or turning point in terms of either your entrepreneurial life or your regular life? Whatever you want to share with
Mm.
us.
Mm. I was standing on the front porch of my Jacksonville house.
There you go. There you
The sun
go.
was shining like it is today. I came across a parable. You may know the one. Have you guys ever heard, imagine you have $86,400 deposited into your bank account every day. Amani's nodding. Mandy, have you heard that?
I haven't.
You haven't. Well, the fast version, the condensed version is whatever you don't use, you lose. Nothing rolls over to the next day, but it's free. It's yours to use as you'd wish. Well, it goes on to say, surprise, we have 86,400 seconds in a day, and whatever you don't use, you lose. And this was right after I had come back from really chronic illness. I know now that most of it stemmed from gut issues that had gotten really, really severe. I was probably right on the edge of having, well, I believe, a disease that I couldn't come back from. But luckily, I was able to heal before then. I lost health insurance. It was the best thing to ever happen to me because I had to learn how to heal independently. And 10 and 15 years ago, nobody talked about gut health like they do now. So I'm on the back pages of Google, like frantically figuring out what I can research and how to get help without having health insurance. And long story short, I heard that parable a couple days into feeling better than I'd ever felt in my entire life. And I just remember, the realization, the perspective shift washing over me of I'm not using my life in the way that I want to at all. So at the start, when you said we could have a sidebar about really living, that's when it changed for me. So I had,
Mhm.
I like to say I had a 4-bedroom house, a long-term relationship, 2 dogs, 2 cars in the garage, everything but the white picket fence. And I put tenants in the house, sold everything I owned. And I traveled overseas for 5 years. And by the time I was 31, I had gotten rid of every material possession that I'd ever had, gotten rid of the ex boyfriend, eventually sold the house, and I was able to start over from a place. I alluded to the identity at the beginning, start over from a place that was really truly me and not whatever society pressed on me or other people thought I should be.
Yeah, you had to break it down to build it back up, which I
Absolutely.
think is beautiful. Yeah. I want to we're at the way back machine. Now we're at the way forward machine. You just said something. I want to go back to branding for a second because you said something that reminded me of something else, and I feel like you'll have some advice. There's at the top of the show we had mentioned our friends at Showtech and how they've been in business for like 34 years. And it occurred to me as you're talking about breaking down and building up and just like this tenure of business, like 34 business years is a long time doing business. I know HPN's been around 23 years. I've had my coaching business for 18 years. You know, how can businesses like this, like Showtech, for I guess we'll say, for example, for Showtech has been around 34 years, how can they reinvent themselves over and over again and empower their brand? Or like me being around 18 or, Amani, however, like I'm sure you've seen this, right? Where these brands are around and they're the same brand. There's certain good things that make it consistent, trustworthy, reliable, but to stay relevant, there's some things they like you had to break down to build back up. Like what can people do to reinvent themselves that have been around for that long?
Yeah, I think it depends. There's so, the way my brain works is that I see the nuances and subtleties and everything. So I'm like,
Yeah.
there's a thousand questions in that, right? But let's break
Right.
it down into, let's just say, two different scenarios. The first scenario is they need to reinvent themselves because they're not doing so great,
Mhm.
right? Maybe they are failing in some areas. Then the other group would be they're doing good, but they're just kind of stalling in the market and they don't really know how to change or what to do. For this second group, I would say lean on your employee and customer stories a lot more than you are. I think that that is, I've worked with big organizations in the past or organizations going through mergers and acquisitions. And I get in there and I start looking how to rebrand them. And it's like, why aren't you talking about all this stuff? It's gold. Or
Yeah.
a local family business I'm working with now, they do so much community give back. It is crazy. And I'm like, this needs to be I could do an entire year-long marketing campaign on this one little nugget you just shared. And I
Mhm.
think that there's this metaphor about how it's really hard to read the label when you're inside of the bottle. It's really hard
Mm.
to know what's special and what you should share.
Mm.
So I think that, you know, hire an expert that can help you with that is one great way, but really just looking into your stories, what you do, evaluating that part with a different lens, knowing that today's buyers are way less enchanted with product specs and, features than they like that doesn't matter anymore. Maybe 10 years ago we were learning lead with that. No, nobody cares about that. We want to know where your heart is, what your mission is, how you take care of people, what the success stories are, how well do you understand your customer? Which leads me to number two that I would suggest is another thing that I see brands tend to ignore is communicating their value in the way that their customers need to hear it. And it's almost like this idea of love languages, right? We all know love languages. If you're a service based Like if you're what am I trying to think of? If you do acts of service, right?
Mhm.
But the other person needs physical touch or quality time, you're gonna be sharing all this love, but they may not feel it. And your
Mhm.
values the same way. So get really clear on I think I posted about this morning, suggesting for brands who wanna reinvent themselves like this, getting to know your customer in their objections. What would their objections be to working with you? "Oh, all subscription services are a scam. They don't have value." Then kind of addressing that in your marketing of, "Hey, I know that it feels like this, man, I was just overcharged for all these subscription services. Ours isn't like that, something better than that," but handling that objection there. For the first group that needs to reinvent themselves, the process is a little bit more challenging, but I think the first step with them is being just having the self-awareness to be like, "Hey, the market's changed. We've got a new generation of buyers. Everything is different. It doesn't mean that there's something fundamentally wrong with us. Let's reassess. Let's be open to change." And I think that that is the most vital part of that process for the first group is being aware, hey, I don't want to keep my head in the sand. If we do adapt, we can probably succeed. If we don't adapt, I don't know. We may go the way of all those legacy retailers that have been going out of business.
Blockbuster. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Exactly.
As
Kmart,
you
Toys R
yeah,
Us.
as you say that, I'm like, yeah, like the Kodak and all those the
Mhm.
ones that just
Sears,
haven't come.
J.C.
Yeah,
Penney,
seriously.
all those.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
What about I'm going to switch gears for a minute because you and I are involved with IMX next week. We're involved with the
Mhm.
Future Leaders Forum, and you're moderating it, which is a big job. Like you're emceeing and moderating it. What motivates you to be involved to give back, and what do you say to people that don't invest time to give back?
I'm so excited to be involved with the Future Leaders Forum. I think,
Um,
really throughout this year, I've noticed a theme in all of my presentations. I'm really leaning into this idea like there's been so much disruption. We have to adapt. And, I shared my story at the start that it's a bit longer, but not only did I graduate into the Great Recession, then I went to get into events in January 2020. And then I was in corporate advertising with the rise of AI. So I've just seen a lot of this disruption, which led me to doing the research on it. And in the next 5 years, the Future of Jobs report shows that 90 million jobs will become obsolete, but 170 million jobs will be brand new. So it's like, how do we equip our emerging leaders with the skills they need for that type of uncertainty? And when I look at it, I'm like, this has been my whole life. This is my life's education on
mm,
how to invest in your leadership skills and your communication skills and just how to show up with the confidence and be able to communicate your value in any room, no matter what it is. And that's, when Amani and I don't want to say met, but really met in person the first time at WEC, I
Mhm.
was there to grow my speaking business. And also, I was kind of there trying to connect with a career coach. Like, how do I get out of corporate advertising, translate my brand expertise into a full time position? Because, man, business ownership is hard and I'm tired and I don't know if I want to go in this direction. And it was because of that disruption again. And I just know that to answer the second part of your question, giving back in any way it creates that magneticism for your brand again because you're doing good on the inside and good's going to come to you on the outside. So, yes, it feels good. Yes, it's helping other people, but completely selfishly even, it helps you grow when you give back and it helps just so much like what am I trying to say? It helps so much. I want to say like security is the word that's coming up, which is
yeah,
funny for me right now. It like gives a sense of security somehow. I don't
yeah.
even
Mhm.
know if that makes sense. It's like you're
No,
nodding. I'm like, I don't know where that came from, but
no,
the
it
feeling
does.
is security.
Well, like you're building value and you're giving back, and they're going to remember you, and they may be people that hire you, or you may hire them. I think it does build a foundation for sure.
Yeah.
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 What happened to you when you attended WC and you looked for that career coach and found it? Like, what direction did your life and business take after that?
I had 3 scheduled appointments. The first person had to go home with food poisoning, never met
Yeah.
him.
Oh
The
no.
second person had a family emergency, never met him.
Oh
The third
no.
person, I have no idea why they weren't there, but they weren't there, and while I was standing there waiting, I ended up meeting I ended up meeting, Well, at the time, it was a TEDx organizer in Atlanta. They were very interested in bringing me in speaking. Turns out I've now been working with him and his wife with their keynote speaker growth and business, all the things for about a year and a half now. And it was the turning point for me, where everything started taking off. Everything that I wanted in business and consulting and speaking, it all started from that moment. And it felt like for me, we had 3 different career coaches drop because I was never supposed to do that. I
Mm,
was just
mhm.
in that low moment that I think that we have all probably gone through as entrepreneurs of, "Am I cut out for this? I think I'm too big-hearted. I'm too nice. Why does this keep happening to me? I don't wanna change who I am. I'm just gonna get a full-time job and quit." And I felt like life was like, "Absolutely not. No.
Mm.
Okay, you're tired, you need a bone. Alright, you're ready. Let's go." And everything took off after that.
Okay.
That's
Now,
a
you
great
mentioned
story.
earlier in the green room, you were talking about how you're taking a break from doing like PR activities because you're focused
Mm,
on income producing activities. And I love your
mhm.
philosophy around this. Can you kind of share your philosophy on incoming producing activities compared to doing like PR? And then the
Mhm.
follow-up question, well, I'll let you answer that and then have a follow-up.
Yeah,
Okay.
hold it.
Thank you
Hold
for
your
breaking
jets
it. I've been
on.
trying to hold them both in
Yeah.
my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
part 1,
One
part
at a
2, part
time.
7.
One at
Okay.
a time.
Yes. Well, okay. So, especially as you start becoming a magnetic brand, you attract attention. You attract people who want to have you on their show. I have a lot of great stories. I love being on shows like this. It seems like that I was always meeting people who wanted me to be on their show. And that's amazing. And it's part of a very good growth strategy, maybe doing 2 a week. But what I was finding when I sat down and I evaluated my time, my weekly schedule, I have them color coded so I can see very quickly. Oh, I'm spending way too much time doing this fun stuff that does grow my awareness, but I'm avoiding the stuff I don't like as much,
Mm,
which is outreach or maybe
Mm,
cold outreach or maybe follow up or maybe nurturing my existing network from all of these great opportunities that I have. It was kind of one and done, one and done, one and done. And I pulled back and evaluated. I think I have enough. I was like, I need to go deeper versus further. So I put a pin in scheduling anything like this. Except for this week, I was planning on getting back into it in preparation for getting warmed up and just stage ready for IMEX next week. And when he popped into my messages was, "Hey, Monday." I'm like, "That is perfect timing. Let's
mhm.
go." So
it's
it all
perfect.
lines up.
Yeah. What are some of the most common incoming activities that people you coach miss or try to stay away from, they avoid?
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, it does tend to be around outreach. I think that a lot of us that hidden, baseline fear of rejection, or it comes up in so many different ways. Maybe we don't feel like we're going to be rejected, but like, um, hi, I'm bothering you, or asking people for referrals. That's very uncomfortable for me, and it is such an important part of doing it. Of being like, hey, I'm on this mission to make a difference. I want to help brands communicate their value in a more connected and resonant way. I know that I have a lot to give. Who do you know that I need to know? That question right there is just so hard to ask, but that's the specific income generating activities that I've been doing in place of doing as many podcasts or just asking the hosts like yourself at the end, who do you know that I need to know? And I think that it's that growing of the network and just kind of that cold outreach that is the easiest for us to neglect.
Mm, got it. Now, I think we've come to a good time in the show where we flip the script and
Yes.
we let you ask both me and Mandy any question you like. Nothing is off limits. So, who do you want to ask the question to first, and what is said question?
I ask one question and you both answer it, right?
Well, no, you can ask me one question and
Okay.
Mandy another question.
Okay, I know my first question, but I don't know who it's directed to.
Okay,
Does it have
ask it
to
and
direct?
we'll
Okay.
decide. We'll
All
we'll
right,
No,
decide.
whoever has
go
the better
grab it.
answer. I don't know my second question yet, but I want them to be different. My question is, what was your origin story moment? What is your trial and tribulation that really led you to where you are today?
Ooh,
Hmm.
I'm
Amani,
gonna
I feel like you've got a good one on this
Which
one.
one should I'm trying to think of what I would how I would answer. Which
Well,
story?
I think it's your conversion from your hotel job to your DJ school.
Yes. So,
Or not. I don't know. What comes up
I'm
for
trying to
you when
think
she says that?
when she says this. I don't know what comes up for you. I want to answer a different one.
I mean, I have so many where I feel like I've been rebirthed over and over and over again in the last 30
Yeah.
years. Like the first thing that comes to mind when you say that is the trip to Ireland that I won from a radio station contest. And that radio station contest and that trip to Ireland forced me to create a New Year's resolution. And that New Year's resolution moved me to San Diego, and that move to San Diego put me right in the firing squad of working at hotels, and working at hotels changed my life. Like there's so many things that led to that, but then I could go on, and I feel like we all have multiple origin stories. I don't even think it's just one, because once that story gets formed, then another story happens and
Hmm.
another
Mhm,
story, right? It's like
mhm.
that onion or banana you were talking about peeling earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Good answer. What's your next question?
I like that. So winning a trip to Ireland on a radio show, that's nice and obscure. I like it.
Right? Yeah, it took
Um,
me to San Diego. There's a lot of food in the middle of that, right? But, like, that's what
Mhm.
happened. That's
yeah,
those are the
yeah.
bookends.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the origin, that's one side of the timeline. What about right now? What is the most challenging, I guess this is for you, Amani, what is the most challenging part of growing your business right now?
I would say the most challenging part of growing my business is getting a foundation of coaching clients. Just basically that, so that you have a set number of clients that are steady, where it's kind of income that you can forecast, and then building from there. So like that would be the most challenging currently. Like I released the book, I'm still doing all the book activities. The book tour was this summer, and then you want to kind of acquire like coaching clients to build on top of the foundation I have, which is like teaching, so that you can continue to grow and then like duplicate. That's the biggest challenge, is getting people to commit, as we were talking about on our mini episode
Mhm.
earlier, and then just continuing to grow that. That is by far the most challenging aspect right
Yeah, fair, get it.
now. Okay, Mandy, because we have some time here.
Yeah,
What like
I've got a couple questions.
Go ahead, go for it, because I have some other ones, but I wanna sit and think on it for a minute. Go ahead, Mandy.
Well, I wanna go back to your PR activities versus your sales revenue generating activities, because 'cause you're not alone. As a sales coach, everybody would much rather be a guest on a podcast than to make a cold call or send an email or to schedule an appointment. That's You're not alone. So I want to build on that, because I think people can learn from you. Like when you are in that space where you are asking for referrals, you are sending emails. How are you doing that? Like, are you scheduling time in your day, week to do that? Are you just waking up one day and like, I feel like selling today? Like, how are you doing that in your business?
Oh, I love operating on the, "I feel like doing this today." I do bring in more structure with that, especially in the things that I would tend to avoid. So I went to a business retreat about 3 weeks ago now, and
Cool.
I really feel that I got the last piece of the puzzle. You know, my network is very, very important to me. So up until a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, I wasn't comfortable having the conversation of who do you know that I need to know, only because I was a bit scattered. I wasn't taking my own best advice. I got to the business retreat and there were like 2 rules. The first was don't recreate problems that we've already solved. Number 2 was be your own best student. I was like, well, I'm talking to way too many people, and that's why I'm having my challenge, because one of my first rules is when you try to talk to everybody, you end up being heard by nobody.
Yeah.
We've all heard this.
Mhm.
And so the first thing I do when I get with an organization is be like, "Okay, you think that you're within this niche, but really there's like 3 different sub-audiences and you're trying to talk to all of them. So let's segment them, let's split them out." Well, I was very aware of my problem. I was coaching, speaking, consulting, and I was like, "Well, I can be the exception to the rule and I can do this because I know how." No, it was scattering me. It was making it very difficult. So I made the somewhat hard choice to not work on coaching at all. If somebody comes to me, that's what they're looking for, they want it, sure, we can do it. But I'm only actively going after speaking opportunities right now. And that's, I think, partially too, I've been working to be a professional speaker for a very long time, and I did cross that threshold, but to only do that and to say, "Oh, that's only what I'm going for," that's crazy talk, and it's like, "Okay, it's
Mm,
only for a short amount of time. It is my focus right now. It is the thing that I believe I am most purposefully supposed to do, because whenever I get up in front of an audience, that is the only time in my life where my brain stops thinking. It is the only time where I feel like I'm absolutely in flow, channeling words that are beyond me."
same,
And
same. I totally understand that.
you
I
know what I
understand.
mean? It's
I
this
totally
channeling,
understand
it's
that.
this flow
Yes.
state, and it's like, yes, I can and it was kind of evaluating, well, why do I wanna detour and build this coaching business right now? 'Cause I wanna stay behind my computer and hide and just have the safety of being home, whereas I had been working after this for so long. I have my demo reel, I have every last bit that I need. I feel like I am on a God-given mission to help people spread understanding and messages that matter, so lead with that, feel into that, and not sell myself short by not asking people, "Hey, quick 15-minute phone call, here's what I'm working on, how can I support you? This is who I'm looking to connect with. Do you know anybody?" And I've been getting so many, actually. My spreadsheet, I'm like, "Okay, get organized, get focused, have my spreadsheet of things," because people do really wanna connect, especially when you lead with that mission.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm glad. First of all, congratulations for getting over the hump of it. And then second, just way to go on making it an important part of your work schedule. I think people think, well, we'll get to this another time, but making outreach as an important part of your work schedule. It's just like eating, drinking
Mhm,
water, going potty, doing your stretches, like meditating, whatever it is in your day. Outreach is a part of your daily schedule. And
mhm.
so many people don't make it a part of your daily or weekly schedule. So kudos to you for doing that. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a
Mhm.
muscle, it's really uncomfortable at first, but even after 3 weeks of doing it, it was like 45 minutes on a call because I was nervous and beating around the bush, I needed to give you more time, and then after a couple weeks, it's like 15 minutes, you feel valued, I feel valued, I've got something to give you, I've got some referrals to go after, like 15 minutes, boom, done. Gets easier.
Awesome. Love that.
Interesting. Now, say we meet up with the Christy who's just walked across the stage at Georgia Southern University. She's just graduated. We're at a Starbucks in downtown Atlanta, and you meet her. What advice would you give your younger self based on everything that you've been through and learned so far?
Ugh, this one hits so deep. I would tell that young version of myself to stop focusing so much on anything external, any of the relationships, any of the boys she thinks she needs to validate her, and to spend time developing my relationship with myself. I don't have a lot of regrets in life. I think that every choice has led me to here, and I love my life and I love who I am. That is one that hurts me. And if I allowed it, I could start crying right now because I think so many young girls miss out on the most important relationship of all because we're told to plaster makeup on our face, hate our bodies, and defer any of our opinions to the guys who will like us. And I would change that problem for myself and for every young woman if I could.
All right. Good answer. Um, what's next for you? Like you spoke about how you're really focused on speaking, and that's the topic. Like, where do you want to see yourself and your business grow in like the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, well, I have a couple dream stages that would be amazing, right? I think it's important to always know what we're going after and visualize that. Mind Valley University, speaking on that stage, would have just been the craziest thing in the world I could have ever thought of. And I was brave enough to sit down and visualize that and manifest it for the first time. And 12 months after visualizing it, it happened. I got an invite. So, my new version of that is Patagonia and other adventurous companies like that because Patagonia had this campaign a couple years ago that really spoke to me. I feel like you're shaking your head. I feel like you know the one. Don't buy this jacket. The jacket you bought last year is perfectly good. You don't need this jacket. Save the planet. Use your old jacket. And for me, having worked in corporate advertising, that was something that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way of I don't like using my talents and my gifts to make people buy things that they don't need to buy and that pollute the world and this, that, and the other. So being able to channel what I know about communication and growth to companies that really want to do better in this world, that is kind of one of the ones that hold their communication, right? Who they say they are. And that would really mean a lot to be working with only organizations like that in 12 months.
Okay. I know Patagonia because my students always talk about it as one of the companies that they recognize does the best in terms of give back and community service. And every
Mhm.
semester that the company always comes up. So that's how I know them so well.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
They
I,
attract me for the same reason.
I want to talk about you being on a stage now that we're living this visualization moment, right? So, like, you're in a flow state when you're on a stage. What's that stage look like to you? Like, from a production standpoint, like, what's the backdrop? How many
Mm.
people? What are the colors? What are the sounds? Like, I'm curious to hear your visualization of what that actually is on stage.
Yeah, so the image that I hold in my mind's eye is the question, right? Because when I can get on flow stage in, like, just a little corner of a room, I don't even need a
Mhm.
mic if there are people looking at me, but we're talking
Mhm.
about the visualization, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for whatever reason, since the first time I ever visualized this, and it has not come true yet, I have a navy blue jumpsuit on. This was before jumpsuits were even popular. This was in like 2017, 2018. And I have a navy jumpsuit. It's twisted at the neck. I don't own this. I've never seen this. And I always see it from the side view. It's never full on. It's never me being in my body and looking out to the audience. It's always from the side. And it's a big ballroom. So when you said not everybody needs a ballroom, I'm like, I know, but in my head, for some reason, I do, in that ballroom, and there's curtains behind me, and, I think, I haven't spoken in front of thousands before, but I think that that's the visualization just to help me along the journey of not playing small, I get it's public speaking is my greatest passion and my greatest talent, I believe. It's the only time I get into flow state, but it still makes me nervous. It's still confronting. Given the choice, it would still be easy to hide and not share, not speak up, and not, get over all of that. So to have the biggest kind of stage in mind is a reminder of keep going, keep going,
Mm,
keep going.
keep
And
going.
what would be the song that is playing as you walk out onto the stage?
Oh, because somebody's energy gets great with some music. I liked that one. Yeah, I don't know, I haven't I this that was totally a recommendation for you. Bring in the guests, let them know what we're talking about.
Like, what would the song be? What songs come to
Oh, well,
mind?
I don't know the answer to that, I'm trying to deflect. So,
I'm not gonna let you deflect.
I'm
We
trying
gotta
to
get a song
deflect.
out.
No,
Yes.
I never really considered bringing in music, but you had sent me one of your talks and I was watching it through and I noticed that your energy just like exploded with authenticity when music came on. And after that, you were like just so in such a good vibe for the rest of the time. Um, you're like, I think I'm gonna start all of mine with music,
Yeah.
but it just ended there. I didn't think I should do this. I should do
Yes,
this.
you
So
should.
I don't know. I think I need a professional DJ recommendation.
I mean, you
Oh,
gotta
What
if
think about
only
message
we knew
do
one. If only we knew a professional DJ.
I
when you're coming
know.
up to bat, at, for the Braves, since you're in Atlanta, what
Yeah.
song is playing? What song is playing that always gets you like pumped up or is meaningful
Mm.
to you? And it doesn't have to be a fast song. It could be a slow song. It could be any kind of genre and tempo.
This is such a good follow my own message kind of question
Yeah.
because what's coming up for me is like, well, no, what I listen to get, pumped up beforehand is private. I wouldn't, you know, show everybody that. It has to be a different song for stage. And I'm like, ooh, there's some
Nope.
internal, external
Yeah.
alignment there.
And people love behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They
Practice what
they
you
like
preach.
behind the scenes more than in front of the camera, right? Like, what
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah. Practice
Okay,
what
well,
you
what
preach.
gets me hyped, this is a little bit embarrassing, but it's super true. I listen to Christian Bethel music on
Okay.
repeat before I go on stage because
It's
I truly
amazing.
feel that I'm in my God-given purpose when I'm on stage, and I always ask to channel the words from God and to use me to spread unity and light and positivity. And so I do the most to get in that state of connection with God. So I don't know that I would say that's what I want to walk across stage to, but that is most certainly the truth of what's going on behind the scenes leading right up to it.
We
I
can work with
love
that.
that. I
We can
love
work with
that.
that. Yeah, we can work with that. Get something applicable. Okay, that's step one. We're gonna lock
Okay,
you down.
maybe like okay, they have like gospel rap.
Yeah.
Maybe something
Okay.
like that, because it's I
Yeah.
love the lyrics, and I'm so about messaging and about words that for me, if something's coming through with a positive message, I'm internalizing that. I'm radiating that, right? So I did start listening to some gospel rap after a social I went to in Tennessee, and somebody even just said those 2 words. I was like, "Wait a minute, I might like that."
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found a great artist or anything I love yet, but this is where the professional DJ friend can come in. We can work with
Okay.
this because
Well,
it has to have some soul, it has to have some hype, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I see. Look at you. You're getting into it already. You're ready.
I
okay,
You're
all
know.
right,
ready.
all right.
Amani, I'm feeling like you could curate a list. You got to curate
Yeah,
a list.
I got
And
you.
we're talking about so many stages in production. I feel like Showtech would love that. Like we started talking about the beginning, now we're bringing it back at the end. Like, and then Judy Holler
Yes.
too, because she's like Holler. What's her book?
Holler at your dreams.
Holler
Yeah.
at your dreams, and she's
Yeah.
all about the spoken word
Yes.
and the
Mm-hmm.
words you use and how you talk to yourself. I feel like there's so many things to grab at here, Christy, that
Yes.
we could like follow up
There's
with you
plenty.
after. Like
Yeah.
it's like all these little angels. They're lifting you up. They're recurating your amazing message. That's awesome.
Look at that.
Mandy,
Yeah.
take us home here.
Well, you spent an hour with us, which is a lot of time. So just thank you. And you've lifted up our audience with so many nuggets. How can we lift you up? How can we support you moving forward from here?
Yeah, thank you. Well, being on here is, obviously meaning a lot. I'm gonna make Amani blush again for whatever reason.
Ah,
So I appreciate that, and I look so forward to connecting at IMEX. And if anybody comes to mind in the event space that is leaning into these changes and adaptability and branding and brand growth and just making their events more not just inclusive, but more personalized, more connected, more authentic. I'd love to be connected with them. And if there's any, just organizations, Trader Joe's, I think, does a really good job. I do have this point. I'm like, everybody needs what I do. And I'm like, not Trader Joe's. Okay. But anybody like that could, just use their message for good and have it amplified. I would love to just connect.
All right.
beautiful. Love that. We'll keep
Good.
that in mind. And audience, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Send everybody to Christy Renee.
Yes. Round of applause. We'll put you back to the green room
Thank you.
momentarily. So there you go. Thank you very much for appearing on the show. It's been a pleasure. Round of
Yay.
applause.
Thank you for being here, Christy.
Yay. Thank you.
All right, Mandy. Another great show is in the books. Who do we have to look forward to next week?
We have another magnetic person, Amani.
Oh, Jess.
Jess Goldberg
Jess
from the
Goldberg,
Magnetic
okay.
Leaders Academy.
All right. All right. Great. So thanks again to our guest today, Christy Renee. And we want you to rate, review, and remember to subscribe on the platform you're watching or listening on. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And with that, we appreciate your support and the attention. And we will see everyone next week, 1 p.m. on the West, 4 p.m. on the East, for another episode. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.